Hello BookTube, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and today is Thursday, January 4th, 2018. Wow, it's already 2018, and this is my first video for the year. I've got a lot of videos planned that are coming up soon, but before I get into my 2018 plans, I wanted to tell you about what I read for the month of December, and then I'll also be doing some goal reflection type videos and talking about what I read and accomplished as far as my goals for 2017. For December, I read 35 books, or I finished 35 books. Now, 5 of those were books that I carried over from November, and I already even talked about those in my November wrap-up, even though I finished them during the first week of December. So if you're curious about what those are, please go back and take a look at my November wrap-up. For the rest of the books, for the other 30, most of them were Christmas books. I had planned for them to all be Christmas books, but I ended up saying that I would be a part of this library book club, mystery book club at our local library. And so in the middle of all my Christmas books, I did listen to The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. It was okay, and I talked about it in one of my Friday Reads videos. In fact, everything but the last 6 books I have talked about in my Friday Reads videos. So I'm probably not even going to mention all of them by name. I will just give you a few stats, and then I will show you the books that I read or that I finished on December 31st. Because if you visit my December 29th Friday Reads video, you'll be able to see what I read for the week leading up to that. So I read, besides the 5 I finished from November, I read the 8 books in the Donna Van Leer Christmas Hope series. I hosted a read-along, and I read all 8 books. Actually, I was able to listen to 7 of them on audio, and the very last one I had to read in print. And I was looking on her page, and it looks like she has another Christmas book coming out in 2018. I don't know if it's going to be part of this series or not, but I really hope it is. That was just a fantastic series. Then, if you've been following my channel, you know that I did a Christmas book advent for my TBR. And for the month of December, I opened a book every day for the 1st through the 25th. So I have 25 books here, and I have read 13 of them. Well, I read 13 of them within the month of December. I've already read one more on January 1st or 2nd, I guess January 2nd. And so my goal for January is to go ahead and just finish reading these, in addition to a couple of other things. But that's the main part of my January TBR, is just to go ahead, while I'm still in the holiday mood, Christmassy mood, is just to go ahead and read the rest of these books. Part of the reason is because several of these that I haven't read are quilt themed, and I want to get these to my sister so that she can read them next Christmas. So anyway, I had a really good mix. I'm not even going to go through all the titles. I did do an Instagram series that I posted a couple of days after Christmas, where I took a picture of every single one of these books, and I talked about, I mentioned whether I had read them or not, and maybe if I enjoyed it or not. Anyway, like I said, be sure to see my Friday Reads videos and you can see. But it's a really good mix. I had a cozy mystery, and I've still got one more cozy to read. I had some comedy and humorous type books. There were some romance, some, oh goodness, I had a middle grade book. Just a lot of nice books. A couple of inspirational books. A couple of I had a kitty that just jumped over the camera. I don't know if you could sense there was some movement in the air or not, but anyway, thankfully she didn't knock the phone down. Anyway, it was just a fun and really good mix of Christmas-themed books. There were a couple of nonfiction books. The one I just read this week is evangelical in nature, and so I'm just really excited about what I read. And then the Christmas Hope series, it was just a lot of good family drama. It all took place in this one town, and there was some tragedy, there was some sadness and heartache, but there was joy and hope and Christmas cheer, and it was just a really great mix of emotions and just a fantastic series. I'm so glad that I read it. And then in addition to all of these books behind me, I read 3 picture books. One of those was an adult coffee table type book, and then a couple of children's storybooks. Again, I've talked about all of those. And then for the last 6 days, though, let me focus on those books for this video. I finished actually a book I've been reading all year. I finished my devotional book for the year, Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. Now, I don't always have a specific devotional book for every year. In fact, I rarely do. The last time I can successfully remember reading one devotional book all through the year was in 1998, and I remember that because that's the year that Randy proposed and we got married, and I was reading My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. Is that the name? Yeah, I think that's the right name. Anyway, it's a classic Christian devotional, and I remember that I was reading that book that year, and I've read other shorter devotional books and things through the years, but two different people had given me a copy of this book, the first copy I got in the middle of last year, and I kind of read it hit and miss, and so this year I started about mid-January, and I caught up to date after it took me a couple weeks, and then I have pretty much read it consistently every day. There have been a day or two here and there that I've missed and had to catch up, but I enjoyed it. It was kind of hard to get used to the fact that it's written in first person as if Jesus is talking. I think you have to be really careful about putting words in Jesus' mouth, but in the introduction, it gave assurances that everything was biblical and everything, was in the context of scripture. So I went ahead and read it because everyone that I know who had read it said it was just wonderful, and I did. I really got a lot out of it. I enjoyed it, and I'm just really happy that I read it. So now for 2018, I have started Unto the Hills by Billy Graham, and this has a short devotion for each day and scriptures. So that is my devotion book for this year, and I started it on January 1. Now, I had one book that I didn't get to read that I'm bumping to January that's not Christmas related, but I was going to read this for Lisa's Buddy Reads, and I just didn't get it done. It's Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore by Matthew Sullivan. So this is going on my January TBR. I have been waiting for the audiobook from the library. It keeps saying available soon, and I'm second in line, and I may still go ahead and just wait, or I might go ahead and try to start reading it and see if it catches my interest. But I have all these other books to read in print that I don't have access to audio, so I'm tempted to just go ahead and wait. Partly, too, because I have started another audiobook for January. I have joined the Lonesome Dove read-along that is hosted by Ange and Elena, and so far it's really good. I am in the middle of chapter 5 or 6 right now. We're supposed to read 9 chapters in the first 7 days, so that'll be no problem. I couldn't get it on audio at my library or on Hoopla or anything like that, so I decided to go ahead and take the plunge and join Audible, and of course right now I'm in the free trial, but I will probably go ahead and just kind of look ahead to what I'm planning to read this year, and search around and see what books that I want to listen to that I can't get through my library, and just go ahead and buy ahead each month. Go ahead and buy an audiobook that I use my credit and get some that I know I can't get through our library. So I'm excited about that. It's really good so far. I'm enjoying it a lot. And so just to give you a few stats, so there was the 8 read-along books, the 13 Advent books. Besides that, I had the book club book, 3 picture books, my devotional book. And then I had 4 Christmas audiobooks that I checked out, 3 from the library, 1 from Hoopla, kind of the last few days of the month, because I knew that I had some audiobook time and I was out of audiobooks, and then I knew that I wasn't going to be able to finish any more of the Advent books other than what I was already reading that I needed to finish, and I had a target goal in mind, and so I went to the library and I just started going through the first I went through the playaways and I couldn't find anything, so then I went through the CDs and I just started looking for anything that was Christmas related, and I should have just gone straight to the Debbie Maycombers because I know she has a lot of great Christmas stories. A lot of them are very short, and so I found 2 of them that I had not read or listened to. I got Dashing Through the Snow and Merry and Bright. Merry and Bright, I started out listening to this in my car, and I had the other one in the house, and when I finished it, then I brought this one in, and I finished this actually a little after midnight on December 31st, going into January 1st. I'm still counting it for December, though, because I like to think that since I was born in Central Time Zone, that I can still count that as my midnight. So it was not midnight there yet at that point. This was cute. This was a lot like the movie You've Got Mail. In fact, it even mentions that movie in the book. Two people, they are actually, they work at the same company. One is the boss, and they both kind of get roped into signing up for this online dating service. So they end up meeting and chatting online, and they don't know that they know each other in real life. And in real life, they don't get along that well, but then online, they begin to fall in love. So it's a fun story, and I'm happy that I read it or listened to it. And then the other one, Dashing Through the Snow, this was cute too. You kind of have to suspend your imagination a little more for this one, but it was fun. It's about a man and woman, young man, young woman, and they are in the airport. Neither of them can get on this plane to Seattle, so they end up racing to the rental car desk. There's only one car left, and they end up sharing that car to drive to Seattle from where I can't remember. A lot of chaotic things happen along the way, and it was a fun story. Like I said, you kind of have to suspend your imagination a little bit, and well, not suspend your imagination, but use your imagination, sorry. And it was a lot of fun. I thought it was great, and I enjoyed both of these thoroughly. Now, a couple of days before that, I listened to A Dog Named Christmas by Greg Kincaid, and I already mentioned this in my Friday Reads video. Then the other one that I checked out through Hoopla, I don't have a way to show you a picture of it or anything, but I listened to it on my phone, and it was actually a Charles Dickens book. I had a couple of borrows left on Hoopla, and I realized that this one story was part of a greater book of Christmas stories, but then I did discover that it has been published in hardcover just on its own, and it was called, I think, The Christmas Tree or A Christmas Tree. I can't remember now, but I believe in hardcover it was like 44 pages or something like that. So on audio, it was about 45 minutes. And so I listened to that. It was kind of a ghost story. So it was interesting because I've heard that that was kind of a traditional thing back in Dickens' day to tell ghost stories on Christmas, which of course was part of the reason for the, Christmas Carol and the ghosts and all of that. So it was good. I probably need to listen to it again or read it actually just to get the full story, because I was kind of just going through it. I don't even think I sped it up. I went through it at regular time. I might have sped it up a little bit at the end, but I was working my jigsaw puzzles and just trying to get it done. I really didn't need one more book, but I was going for 250 books for the whole year, and so that made 251, and I just wanted to have one extra one for good measure, lest I discover all of a sudden after the year's over that a book got counted twice or something on Goodreads, and I only had 249. So it was just kind of a, just a little extra bonus read. And so yes, I did make 251 books for 2017, and I was really excited about that. So for December, 35 books, 18 of them were print and 17 were on audio. And the last two of my Advent books that I read, I'll tell you about them real quick. This was Nothing with Strings by Bailey White. I think even though these were originally radio stories, I like them in print better. I did a little bit of both. Well, I listened to the whole thing on audio, but I went back and I read some. It took me a little while to kind of get the flow of it, because the stories are short. So on audio, you're listening along and you're finally kind of getting the characters figured out, and then all of a sudden that story's done and it goes right into the next one with hardly a pause, and you know, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what just happened? So I kind of had to go back and forth and look at the book. But Bailey White has a really quirky sense of humor. Her characters are so outlandish sometimes and strange, but fun. So I enjoyed it. Not as much as her other books that I've read, but still a fun book, and I'm glad that I read it. Now, this one, a couple people asked me about this. In fact, I think my sister asked me if the 3 stories in this book are related, and I didn't know at the time, but the answer is yes. Yes, they are. I've told you a little bit about this book because I actually read this first short story earlier in the month, and I already had mentioned that it was about a young woman whose aunt, before she died, started a quilt for her daughter's wedding, who was scheduled to get married that next Christmas. And she wanted the main character in this first story, she wanted her and her 2 cousins to finish it, to each put a border around the panel that she started with, and then give it to her daughter for her wedding, for a wedding gift. So I don't know why it didn't occur to me until I started reading the second book that each story is about one of the cousins. So the first story is about the first cousin getting the panel from the aunt and doing the border, and then while she's doing that, she's at her family's winter home where all the cousins knew each other when they were kids. They've all kind of grown apart and gotten estranged from each other, but not in a bad way. They just, you know, family situations changed, and they just haven't been in touch with each other in a long time. So she's at their family cabin that's up in like upstate New York, I think, and a guy she knew when she was a teenager there is still there, living in the area, so they rekindle their romance. And so then the second story is about the second cousin after she has received the quilt from her cousin, and she has already finished her portion of it. It is packaged and ready to go in the back seat of her car. She parks her car in front of a gallery, an art gallery, because she's an artist, to take some pieces into the gallery, and while she's in there, her car gets stolen, and of course the quilt and everything is in the back seat. So that whole second story is about her trying to get the car back and the quilt ultimately, and she runs into a guy out on the sidewalk when she's trying to chase after her car, and she asks him to help chase down her car, and so that's where the romance comes in there. Then the third one is the third cousin, who is, and it's her story of getting, you know, the quilt, and then and doing her part to finish it, her border, and then there's a little epilogue about them, you know, getting back together and presenting the quilt, and about the cousin that's actually getting married and all that. So anyway, it's a really nice book. There's some steamy parts that, you know, I could live without, but overall I enjoyed the storyline, the premise. It's a nice holiday story with some romance and some quilting mentioned, and a little bit of action adventure, and so it's very good. I enjoyed it. The authors are Emily Richards, Janice K. Johnson, and Sarah Mayberry. So that those are my 6 books that I finished on December 31st. So altogether, I had a great reading month. I am super excited about everything I was able to read. Moving forward into January, I already said my TBR is going to be to finish the other 10 or 11 Advent books that I still need to do, to read. I hope to read this one. And did I already mention the Lonesome Dove read-along? I can't even think if I did or not. But anyway, I joined the Lonesome Dove read-along. I think I did mention it already. I don't know. I've done this video a couple of times. The first time, well, I had to restart it several times. Then when I finally got done, it was like 29 minutes and some change, and I thought, I'm not going to subject y'all to 30 minutes of me rambling. Anyway, I guess that's it. So I'll be back soon with some other videos. I did receive a lot of books and bookish items for Christmas, and I will be doing a Friday Reads video tomorrow. And I guess that's it for now. I hope you had a great reading month in December, and I will see you soon with another video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.